Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad you are here for this extraordinary event. For thousands of years, most cultures have shared this greater understanding of the transformational role of storytelling. They even had special rituals by which people returning from war could let their stories be heard. It wasn't done so much to glorify the experience of war, but to allow the community to relieve the burden being carried by those who had seen battle. It was done to help our warriors reintegrate into our communities and be whole once again. Now, sadly, many of these rituals have fallen out of use, and we have seen the toll this has had on our veterans. But today is different. Today, we gather to intentionally express gratitude to our veterans, to hear their stories, and to officially welcome them back into our community. It is my hope in so doing, we will all be embraced by the power of their words, the power of their stories, and be forever changed.
Hua. My name is Dane Kaimaloa, 640th MI Battalion, still active duty. Stand in the light. Stand in the light, my friend, stand in the light of love. I was walking underneath the clouds, stormy weather in my life. You know, my spirit and my soul was dark. I was carrying a broken heart. Well, then a friend came back and rescued me, helped me get me back on my feet, and now I stand in the light. Oh, stand in the light, my friend, stand in the light of love. Whoa, 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 stand in the light. Oh, yeah, stand in the light, my friend, stand in the light of love.
Dane's other name is Elvis.
Thank you very much.
So we're holding special feelings for Dane because he's still active duty. And we want him to be safe so he can keep singing songs and keep singing to the light. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you came, huh?
So we'll think of you often. We'll hold prayers for you and good thoughts for your safety so you can stand in the light for a long time. Yeah. For you who have faced death and chosen life, for you who have faced death and choose to stand in the light, we give you this necklace and hold you in the chain of being.
Be strong, yeah, be focused. Come on, my friend. Yeah.
My name is Doug Cole. I served 4 years with the United States Navy as a hospital corpsman. I did most of that time with the United States Marines. I did time with the Coast Guard. Now I'm retired from the Air Force, so I've been around. I'd kind of like to introduce this poem just a little bit. This was given to me by the Blackfeet tribe who adopted me this year, and it's called Returning I have always questioned what my purpose was in life. This is what a spiritual leader found in my soul and the gift that he gave me. He healed my head so that I could think more clearly. He washed my ears so that I could hear not what the words were, but what the heart was saying. He painted my eyes so that I could see the world clearly, know the truth and reality. He cleansed my mouth by making marks across my lips, so that when I spoke, I would speak from the heart and be listened to instead of heard. He then washed my hands from clay from the earth. He painted each finger a different color, chanting what the spirits led him to say. And this is what he did. He painted the color red on the palms of my hand. He painted the backside with the color of the earth. So when I greet someone, I hug them and bring them into my heart and protect them from the daily life and the struggle that they're going through. So my new name for my new life is Asu Hinaki, the healer.
So Doug told us a story, hope you don't mind, of being on a ship when people were medevaced in, soldiers being taken out of battle. And he saw a 12-year-old local girl, brain injured seriously, and went and said, she needs attention as well. You know, the feeling was, we attend to our own. She's not one of our own. And Doug said, I think it's only right that she be given treatment as well. He got in trouble for that. And people didn't understand. But it's a beautiful thing that this native chief looked at him and knew that story and knew that he has the heart of a healer and gave him the name healer. For Doug, for you who have faced a lot of death but kept this healing in your heart, for you who have faced death and chosen healing, for you who have faced death and chosen life, we give you this.
I love you so much.
So being around all these Iraq and Afghanistan war vets, I just had to acknowledge them, so I wrote this as a dedication to them. I'm Thomas Burrows, by the way. I've been up here before, so you should all know me by now. The young ones come back now from their time in the sun. They're not all wounded, not everyone. But I had become complacent about the cost of this battle, about what happens to people when the sabers rattle. But I see them around me again, and it triggers my own scars. Memories of my own good friends who died in lands afar, or the ones that did come back, only partially whole, never able to quite heal the damage to their soul. But I see them around me again, and my heart begins to bleed.
To every soldier far from home, may you be blessed and also spared. So many families that sit and wait. Is their soldier coming home? Or is it too late? This war has gone on for way too long. This war has been murder, so many are gone. This war has gone on for way too long. I pray God, please keep our soldiers strong. To every soldier out on the street, saying hello to every kid you meet. Please know that we are waiting for you to get on that bird and fly back home. This war has gone on for way too long. This war has been murder, so many are gone. This war has gone on for way too long. We pray God, please keep our soldiers strong. We pray God, please keep our soldiers strong.
To be clear, it takes a while to do this. So I thank you again for the support and the compassion that's in the room. And we have a ways to go, so you know. The war's been going on too long, and we have to answer it with a lot of poems and some more story. You ready? Once, there was a village like any other place in the world, and for a time, it was overwhelmed by war, and many things got destroyed, and many people went missing for the sight of the world. And it happened that finally, that war did end, and people were left to patch life together from what was left. And it turned out that in that village there was a young woman, and during the war she had been separated from the young man that she loved most of all the people in the world. And finally, the battle being over, they were able to find each other again, except that it seemed as if the war still existed inside that young man. And the young woman found that either he would be too close to her and burning with some kind of rage, or else by turns he would be distant and in a place where she couldn't reach him. And it pained her greatly, for this is the person she loved more than any other. And after a time, when nothing improved, she began to fear that they would never find love again in this world. And noticing that he had taken to sitting on a cliff, looking into the ocean as the waves rolled away from the shore, out deep in the waters, she began to fear she would never be near him again. And so she began looking for a cure. And people told her that if she took a trail up into the mountain that stood behind the village where they lived. If she went all the way, she would find a cave, and that inside that cave there was an old sage who knew how to cure things. And so she decided to go looking up there in that cave to see if there was a way to cure the loss of love that she was suffering from. And so one day, when the sun rose up and chased the darkness from the world, the young woman gathered herself also, and she began to climb as the sun was climbing up into the sky. And she went all the way up that path until she reached the opening that was the cave. And she stood there in the brightness of the day, looking across the threshold into the utter darkness of that cave. And then she stepped across and left the bright world behind and found herself standing in the darkness, and she could see nothing at all, for she had become blind. She stood there until her vision returned, and then she could see a flickering flame at the back of the cave, and she could see the curve of the back of a sage, she thought, sitting there. And so she went forward, and noticing how silent and how deep the silence was in the cave, she said, "Excuse me, O sage, for interrupting the meditative depths of your cave, but I am out here looking for a cure." And the sage said, "A cure? A cure? Everyone in the world looking for a cure will tell me this. What's the cure for a world that's ill?" And the young woman said, "I hadn't expected to answer questions, but rather I thought I might find out something myself." And the sage said, "Well, never mind that. What is the issue?" And she said, "The one I love the most in this world, wounded by a war, is either too close and fierce with anger or too distant and cold in that distance. And I fear that the love we had will never come back into this world again. And so I'm looking for a cure for this loss of love." And the sage said, "These things cannot be settled quickly. I need 3 days to consider whether there is a cure or not. Come back in 3 days, and I will tell you." And so the young woman bowed to the sage, and she turned and left the darkness of the cave, stepped back into the brightness of the day, and went down the hill to her little hut and began to spend those days the way you spend your time when you're waiting to find out if there is any cure at all. And we will leave her there, and we will leave the young man sitting on the cliff looking into the distance of the ocean. We will leave them each in their place until we ourselves come back around to this story in a while.
Good evening, Portland, Oregon. Happy Veterans Day. When you're welcome to someone's home, it's custom to say thank you, and thank you for welcoming all of us. It's a blessing to be here, and I'm humbled to speak before you tonight. On Veterans Day, I see so many hats and so many eyes and so many folks here tonight that are veterans. Can we just take a quick second and thank you that are among us? And if the veterans want, stand, raise a hand, or let the folks here among you recognize the vets here that are with us tonight, and to you folks. So if you're a vet here tonight, please stand up and join with us, and let us recognize you and clap for you. Ooh, wow. We're able to say these words tonight and breathe our breaths because so many gave their lives. So many walked the walk and did the talk, and they aren't here tonight. So there's 3 wonderful vets here in the front row that are actually part of this group. We started as Welcome Home. And 2 wonderful Vietnam veterans, and a woman so strong that she could take and fight battles that even the strongest would not want. Welcome to you folks, and you're part of us as well. This poem is not about me. It's about some veterans here in the audience tonight, particularly fathers and sons. It's about some fathers and sons here tonight on the stage. And so this is for you. Hopefully some hardened hearts when you come back from war can soften just a bit. And maybe you can remember a time when there was some more. A soldier's son, Ken Kraft, OIF 0304, Camp Slayer, Iraq. Once upon a time, in a land so far, far away, there was a proud young soldier holding his newborn son, witness to his first breath and flickering eyes, opening to gaze upon his newborn father. The father was a soldier, and the son just a boy. The soldier father spoke of training, war, and a duty to defend our country. The boy was instructed along the way and encouraged to attend West Point upon reaching age. Not to worry, his appointment was secured. So many years later, in a land so far, far away, a proud old soldier received a message. The soldier had spent his life defending ideals, esprit de corps, and an imagined way of life. The words of his life were simple: duty, honor, country. Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what we can, will, and must become. Always the soldier, first, second, and last. The Corps, the Corps, the Corps. The message read, your son joined the Army. He selected infantry. The old soldier's mind flashed to the charcoal body still steaming, to all those lifeless bodies he stepped over through the years. The ghostly memories of those who gave all to follow the soldier's path, their smiles, the spark in their eyes, their hopes and the dreams, and sons so far, far away. For the soldier knew he killed his son, not by enemy fire, but ideals and dreams of the soldier father. For the son had placed his tiny feet into his father's heavily worn boots, not because he wanted to become a soldier. Far deeper it was, for the son only wanted to feel his father's love. He innocently tried to follow in his soldier father's impossible path, out of duty, honor, and obligation. The soldier replied, do not come. This path you cannot follow. But the reply came too late. The son was already training, a ranger, accepted special forces. A soldier's soldier was he to be. The soldier received a message in a land so far, far away. The message read, sir, your son is gone. Break. The soldier replied, last message over. Clarify. Where is my son? Break. Sir, we do not know. We think he is AWOL. They say he refuses to turn to the unit. Silence. Not possible. Deserter. Unthinkable. Betrayal of ideals. Much sorrow. The old soldier's battle scars began to hurt. His armor fell crashing at his feet. Stabbed from within, where so many enemies failed, the sun prevailed, piercing the soldier's Achilles, shattering ideals. A young lamb raised, a sacrifice for dreams of the soldier father in a land so far, far away. A final digital message read as follows, Dad, your path I will not follow. Love, your son. The old soldier replied, I deserted my son. Out. Thank you.
In camp, we were talking at times about the heart of the warrior. And the old notion is that a warrior, or those with the heart of the warrior, are born to serve. And they try to find a transcendent thing to serve. That's why people keep showing up for battles, to serve something beyond themselves. And I have to tell you, and I think everybody here knows it, up here that is, Ken has the heart of a warrior. He has that in him. And He stands here, and he might not tell you, but I'm going to tell you. With steel, where most people have knees, the knees are gone, shrapnel through the body. But I tell you, he gets up every day in pain, and he serves. And now what he serves is the healing of those that have been to war. And it's an honor to work with him and to be with him. And Ken,
Thank you, my friend.
for you who have faced death and suffered great pain and chosen life, we're honored to be with you.
Thank you, Michael.
You
Make my dream come true.
You know I mean it. Go get him.
My name is Scott Wildman, and I served in the Surge on Baghdad, 06 to 07, United States Army, infantry. I was a commo chief for a line infantry company. I need to write my father. Sorry, I'm shaking. I have little to say, yet I have so many things to say. I always try to amuse him. I guess he looked as if he needed a smile. As a child, I could not imagine what he went through in Vietnam. And as an adult, I suffered from the same curse of heartache and sorrow. We are so close but separated by egos and stubbornness. Dad, I can no longer fight this war. Once you told me you wish you could just run away. So honest to hear this from you, and I'm proud to hear it. It's the best piece of advice I ever got.
They can feel your spirit. So you can feel Scott's spirit. And one of the words we got interested in camp was the muse, that poetry and wit comes when the muses are present. As a matter of fact, the word amusing comes from muse. And so we have all enjoyed it greatly when the muse speaks through Scott. And so for someone who has had to see some very terrible things with such a generous and open heart, and that we're sorry that you've been in that place. But we love the joy that you bring to things, and the humor that you bring, and the wit that you bring, and we're hoping that that humor can shift away all that pain and find a good road for you to go on, for you who have faced death, seen terrible things, but choose life. We wrap you in this cord and try and hold you in this world. Thank you.
My name is Ruth, and I'm here actually right now to read the poem of someone wonderful named Annette Lessman, who's over here. She came late, so I'm reading her poem. Annette is the beloved wife of Rocco Tedesco. Can you? A three-tour Vietnam veteran. And Annette joined us at the retreat and wrote this poem. Every single day, he went to war, a man with over 50 others. He came back with 10 others. One by one, they killed themselves. 2 of them while on the phone with my husband, my love. They all stopped their pain by stopping their lives. He wonders every single day when the pain will be too much for him? When will the pain be so much that the only way to stop it is with his own death? I never knew him before he considered suicide each day, every single day. Why he has PTSD is not my fault. The reasons he has for living are not my doing. If he kills himself, it is not my fault. But every single day, I get to wonder if I will wake up to find him dead. My love, every single day.
I have a wound you cannot see. It's from a war in my past. You can't go to, in which you can't be. I hope it won't last. Each night I go there, I'm not sure why. This time I'm hoping that you won't die, but you do. I can't let go of your hand, my brother in a foreign land. Was it me that let you down? Why is it me that wears the frown? The questions in my mind keep haunting me to the point of insanity. Just when I think I see some light, we're back in the sand, back in the fight. I came home, but live in pain. You can't come home. It's not the same. I'm trying to heal the wound that you can't see, but my brother's wounds will always be with me.
I'm Staff Sergeant Andrea Hopkins, 1972nd Combat Stress Control Medical Detachment, currently Army Reserves, so weekend warrior, and I got back from Iraq in '07. I stand at the cave. I stand at the mouth of the cave. The darkness beckons me like a comforting blanket that I've slept with my whole life. I know its texture, the feeling of softness, and the pain. The sun with its heat and warmth was present all those days, and so was the family that was my source of my eternal sunshine. I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, pigtails swinging with each bouncy step. I had no care in the world. The cave came that fateful day that my father passed away. I used to ask God, why? Why he would take my father away. I prayed and I prayed for him to return. Then I would be a good girl. I blamed Mom, but mostly I blamed myself. Each night I stuffed it inside and I tried to fight. Now I stand at the mouth of my cave. It tempts me to stay inside. I'm scared of the light and I'm afraid to see. But the light feels good, the warmth as it washes over me. For I've stepped out of my cave and turned my face to the sun. I want to open my eyes and take in the rays. I'm scared, Daddy. Oh, I'm scared, for I loved you so. If I leave the cave, will you find me in the light? It's time to go, Daddy. I love you. Goodbye and good night.
How did that go? So it turns out that this heart of the warrior thing is not restricted to one gender. That is to say, the heart of the warrior appears where it appears. And as unlikely as it might seem to me upon meeting Andrea and then seeing how caring she is with everybody, I found out she also has the heart of the warrior, the capacity to serve and the capacity to fight. It's a big heart. We've seen it. And for you who have seen death, who have faced death, who know death, but choose life, we give you this.
Yeah, love you, John. Love you, John.
The horizon was on fire. Battles raged in the distance, and then closer, and then closer, and then closer, and now silence. I will tell my children, so maybe they won't have to tell theirs, about the guilt and the smell, faces falling off the bone, the mistakes, the chaos, the uncertainty, fear and smoke, the sweat and the weight, the black flies in my eyes. I will tell my children about the old man who drove his truck across the wrong line in Baghdad, the trigger line that riddled his body full of metal and brought his children to tears to our checkpoint, tears streaming down their round brown cheeks. Why, they wailed. Why did you shoot him? He did not stop, I said, hoping that they would understand me. He can't hear, they cried, staggering closer, pointing to their ears, dragging their sorrow past me, through me. I'm sorry, I said, realizing that the old man was deaf. Couldn't hear our warning to stop. Hopefully, he can hear me now, calling out that I'm sorry.
I don't hate the general public. I am confused by their boldness in assuming what I have become. Killer, drunk, unfortunate soul, lost, and my favorite. They must have fucked up your head over there. I just want to be left alone. I don't want to talk. Stop asking questions, people. Every day someone reminds me of what I've done and where I've been. Despite all that has happened, I am now here.
My name is Rocco Tedesco. I served 3 tours in Vietnam. I was Brownwater Navy. They called us the River Rats. We ran those little bitty boats up and down the river, and everybody thought we were crazy. My song is 21 Candles. I can't remember the name of all the guys that came home anymore. It was too long ago, but I can name 21 of them. There are 21 candles up on the wall, 21 candles standing dark and tall. With a match and a song, we light them all. 21 candles, sentinels they be, with a fire of life for you and for me. They have been called and recalled to be free. I see their images in the light from afar,
traveling on their sacrifice with healing's par. For all of the injuries we hide in a jar. Candles heal through their light so bright it will continue for us into the night. They heal and they guide our emotional plight. Is there a candle for me to glow through the night and be my guide to my eternal light? Go.
So there's this strange old tradition that if warriors can survive the teeth of battle, they often become healers. As if those who have wounded and been deep in the wound become most knowledgeable of how to heal deep wounds. And so Rocco has become a healer. And he sings honor songs for those who are struggling in life. And he makes ceremonies. And he studies the path of healing and practices it. And it's a beautiful thing. And he adds something to it that's an essential ingredient, so to speak, and that is to say, humor. And he cracks us up all the time. And Rocco, for you who have faced death and come out laughing, for you who have faced death and come out a healer, for you who have faced death and chosen life, we give you these beads and wrap you back into the chain of being.
Finally a chance to open up, finally a chance to share. Memories buried so deep, can I speak them, do I dare? We came home they didn't want to hear, lives in ruin, locked away, don't you dare. The path has been rocky and steep. I still remember how they stared, they called us baby killers. In silence, I recall the tears. I know that words can't explain the feelingness of the grievousness of battle. Often I sit in the rain, hoping it would wash me, wishing it would cleanse me. Time has passed, it's a long time ago. Now they want to listen. Once again, tears start to flow. But now they're tears of healing. My God, it's been such a long time ago. Seems like just yesterday. Don't you know, we needed to be hard a long time ago.
I'm Linda Rodering. I was in Vietnam during the war from November 1971 to November 1972. I worked in the evac hospital there. And then I was in the Army Reserves for 8 years. This one is entitled, My Feet on the Ground. Not boots on the ground, but feet on the ground. I told that reporter that's what I wanted. Just one day when my feet stay on the ground. She said that line struck her, and it stuck with her. Well, it has stuck with me too, for 36 years. I want my feet to stay on the ground when my scope of vision didn't include a coworker, so I jump. I want my feet to stay on the ground when I go for a walk, because it's good for me, and a dog comes out of nowhere and I jump. The fringe on the tablecloth moved. I hate that made me jump. I want to go in a restaurant and sit where she tells me to, but I can't because I jump. I feel like a jerk because I can't and because I jump. I didn't hear him in his bare feet. He touched me, so I jump. No stores, no standing in line, no crowded lobbies, no one behind me. That list is so long, and it takes so much energy. I wonder, if I get really, really grounded, will my feet stay on the ground?
Gotta look out. Take it in. Right? This is the donut. This is the donut. This is the donut. So this heart of the warrior can take medical paths, and Linda served many, many people in the hospital over there and came back and continued to serve over here. I don't know how many veterans she has worked with and touched and helped and healed. And I bet everyone sitting here spends some time sitting down with her, because that's what she does when she does not jumping. She sits down and gets right next to you and gets your story out and helps you to find yourself inside your own story. She's a natural healer and another great person serving something beyond herself. And so for you who have faced death, for you who recognize death in the eyes of other people but guide them back towards life, for you who have faced death and chosen life, we give this to you. Good work. Good work this week. So this is a new thing, and it requires staying in for a while because, like I said, the war has many voices and they all need to be heard to some degree. And so appreciation again for your attention and for your listening. And, it's like in that first story you have Ikanchu that dances, and then people say, well, what about the other one? Chuna didn't do anything. That's the witness. Without the witness, nothing really counts. And so you're witnessing something, not just passively because we're feeling it from you, and thank you again. So we're going to go on with the story now. Do you remember where we were? Yes? 3 days sometimes you have to wait. When the ache is great, the cure doesn't come quickly. And so she was waiting inside her hut. And in the meantime, the young man she loved so much was stranded, stuck out on his cliff of anger and isolation. And then finally, the 3 days were over. And the young woman, when the sun rose up, she rose up. And as the sun was climbing to the height of the sky, the young woman began her climb up the path that went to the cave where the sage was. All the way up, each step, she was thinking about the possibilities of a cure and healing. And finally, she reached the cave and stood in the brightness of the day, looking into the darkness of the cave, and then stepped across that threshold between light and dark and found herself once again blind inside the cave. She stood quietly inside her unknowing and her blindness until her vision came back and she could see the flickering of the little flame at the back of the cave, and she could see the curve of the back of the old sage, and she began to walk back that way again. And once again she said, "Excuse me, O sage, for interrupting your meditation and your silence here in the cave, but the 3 days are up and I have come to find out, is there a cure or is there not?" And the sage said, "I'm happy to say there is a cure. Not only that, I have gathered all of the ingredients needed in order to effect the cure, all of the ingredients, that is to say, except for one. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to go out and seek the one missing ingredient in order to effect the cure of bringing love back into the heart after war has done its deed." And the young woman said, "Of course. What do you think? I'm out to cure this thing. I will do anything, no matter what it is. I would risk life and limb to get the final ingredient. So the sage said, all right then, all we need now is a whisker from the head of a living tiger. And as soon as you procure that, we can fashion the cure and things will move along. And the young woman said, am I to think then that all of the other ingredients were as dangerous as collecting a whisker from the head of a living tiger? And the sage said, I thought you were ready to risk life and limb and do anything to find this cure for love that has gone missing. And she realized she had said that. So she bowed to the sage and turned and left the cave, stepped back into the brightness of the day, descended down the path back to her little hut, and began to consider inside herself, how in the world do you get a whisker from the head of a living tiger and survive it? One evening, as she was thinking over this problem of effecting the cure, she remembered that people used to say that if you went up the other path that led from the village up into the mountain, you could come upon a cave, and inside that cave there was a man-eating lion. Excuse me, tiger. A man-eating tiger. These things can change, you know, story to story, night to night. At any rate, she began to think, I know now where to go, but I'm not sure how to go. And then it struck her. She was stirring the rice that was cooking on the stove, and the steam was rising, and the thought came to her, even a tiger must be hungry sometimes, and she decided she could bring rice to the tiger. So she took a bowl and put the rice in the bowl, and she was about to head up the path when it occurred to her also that it was unlikely that a man-eating tiger would be a vegetarian. And so she gathered some meat sauce. She put it on the rice. She took the bowl with the rice and the meat sauce. She stepped out onto the path going up the mountain just in the evening as the darkness was coming and the light was slipping away. And she walked as far as she could up that path, walking towards what she thought was the presence of a man-eating or possibly also a woman-eating tiger up there on the mountain, carrying nothing but a bowl of rice and some meat sauce. And she went as far as she could go into the darkness and into her fear until she could go no further. And she stopped, and she put the bowl of rice down on the path, turned around, went back to her village and back to her hut. And she stayed there, but the next night, she picked up a bowl of rice again, added the meat sauce, and headed out as the darkness was gathering around the branches of the trees. And she went as far as she could, stepping over the bowl she had brought the night before, noticing that it was completely empty, and suddenly realizing, with some excitement but also with some great fear, that the tiger was in fact somewhere on this path. And once again, she went as far as she could, and then placed the rice and the bowl down on the path, and went back, picked up the empty bowl, went back to her hut. She did it night after night, stepping out into the darkness, going as far as she could into her own fear in order to find the ingredient needed to make the cure for the heartache that she had. And we will leave her there, going up the path night after night, facing the tiger as best as she could, until we ourselves will come back again to the path of this story in a while. Arima,